Wow. Look at that. Dick Darnell. Oh my gosh. That looked really amazing, Dick. I appreciate you coming on here again. I'm actually really me coming on your show, right? So yeah, I've been helping Dick on this project for a couple years now. So yes, I am pushing this out on my Super Soldier Talk platform because I figure our audience will be interested in this topic because today we have Jimmy Paine here again. So how are you doing, Jimmy? Oh, unmute yourself.
Real good.
Good. Yeah, thanks for coming out here on such short notice. I really appreciate that because, yeah, usually it takes a while to put these projects together. So let's see here. I got everybody's bios, and we're gonna start with. Let's see here. Hold on, guys. We have Dick Darnell. Okay, so Dick is a retired tile contractor and travel agent. In the esoteric world, he is a Masonic adept, a researcher, scholar, philosopher, and a political scientist. So if you want to reach out to Dick, you can subscribe to his channel. And Super Soldier Agent Jimmy Paine, aka Dallas, was a MIB, a Men in Black, and the Secret Space Program from 1959 to 1996. During this time, he was a shuttlecraft pilot for the Tall White Warriors at Area 51 and participated in time travel missions with the Montauk Boys at Camp Hero. He also recalls working for Wayland Corporation, where he encountered a xenomorph at LV-426, which the movie Aliens was based off of.
Slow down.
Well, there's so much content here.
Do it.
I don't want to take 7 minutes, but yeah, he was also stationed on Mars, Titan, the moon. And on Mars, he had a broken statue of a giant face of a humanoid on a mission in 1974, along with Duncan O'Finian. He remembers seeing Tommy knockers in a cave on Mars, which are a muscular type of tall grays. On the moon of Titan, he was stationed at a massive underground facility where he was tasked with fighting a monster they called It. It looked like the Junior Montauk monster, a type of Bigfoot monster that would gain strength by attacking it. Also on a secret mission from Vandenberg Air Force Base, the lunar Apollo 20 mission with William Rutledge, where they discovered an oriental-looking humanoid named E.B. Mona Lisa. Jimmy claims the Apollo 20 footage is real. So if you want to send him an email, just shoot me over a message. So Jimmy, I know you've been on here quite a lot. I mean, we've talked about how you knew Spock on the Enterprise. Let's see what else you were there in Delaney Plaza with the termination of JFK. What else, Jimmy? You fought those predator aliens in was it Vietnam or Cambodia? You still there?
It was in Cambodia.
Oh yeah. So oh wow, there's so much. And now we were just talking last night, and we learned that you knew Princess Diana, and so what I thought we could do is go into that. But first, hold on, we have one more bio to read, guys, and it is my bio. So for those of you who are not aware of my work, I am an author, researcher, video producer, and meditation practitioner. So I was involved in Project Surrogate and the Ultra MyLab MK Super Soldier program. So I've been on YouTube for about 15 years now. We're approaching that, and my channel actually started in 2008, but I didn't really kick the Super Soldier interviews out till 2010. So yeah, my book Lone Wolf chronicles these programs about covert brainwashing, trauma, MyLab programming, which stands for military abductions and the secret space program. So if you want to learn more about my work, you can go to neologicaltech.com, get a copy of my book, and you can also purchase a meditation cube to help you relax. They're based on sacred geometry. And I'm also the producer of Changes on the Horizon, a 3-hour documentary that discusses how essentially the world was fleeced out of its money and how we could get it back. So anyway, that's all, guys, for now. Anyway, how's everybody doing today? Let's check the chat here. Sybil says, good morning, James and Jimmy. Thank you, Sybil. And the Andromedan says, hello, James and everyone. And we have Doug says, James. Thank you, Doug, for coming on here today. And we have Jerry says, hi, Super Soldiers. I created Predator in 1987. So, Jerry, why don't you put a little comment in there how you created that? Because, Jimmy, didn't the Predator thing took place in the Vietnam War, right?
Correct. It happened in Cambodia, just south of Angkor Wat Temple.
Okay. Well, that predates you, Jerry. I'm not sure which came first. Well, I guess Jimmy, it seems like you came first on that one. Let's see here. Jerry says, I was jealous of H.R. Geiger art creating Alien the Xenomorph. So did H.R. Geiger actually create that xenomorph, or was he shown pictures of a xenomorph?
We took a plaster of the there was another one of those creatures at Nellis Air Force Base, and it let us take a silicone plaster of it. And once the mold was made, it was first sketched by just a number 2 lead pencil on paper, a crude drawing, and then they took a plaster of one of those predators and made a mold of it. So that's how it got in to the art world.
In there somewhere.
Oh wow! What? Say that again.
There's a chagrin with that somewhere. The art world. What an intro into the art world.
Well, Jerry says he thought it was the ugliest giant-sized killer. So I don't know, Jerry. Well, let's do a discussion. Maybe we can bring Jerry on, and I don't know, Jimmy, and you can guys talk it out which came first. So, but let's go on here, Jimmy, because I wanted to talk about the alien shapeshifters. So let's see here, guys. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna just push it over to Dick and allow him to kind of be the ringleader here. So just give me a moment, guys. So what's your first question, Dick? Where would you like to go?
Well, what's striking to mind, Jimmy, is of course this is March 8th today, the day after Super Tuesday, or March 6th, and about 2024 or 23. A couple of weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago, I don't know why, but the U.S. shot up a nuclear capable missile. It was empty. I mean, it wasn't loaded or anything, but they just, for some reason, shot it up. And a given alien spacecraft, I don't know the identity of it, happened to be around, a flying saucer, and it shot 4 lasers at it and blew it off. And I don't know if they knew it had nothing in it or if it had something in it, whatever. But the point I'm drawing on is, yes, there's saber rattling taking place right now, principally from Putin, of nuclear expressions. And the point is the aliens told us back in 75, I believe it was, of course you feel it was 65 or whatever, that there was a flyby and they shut down our nukes in the silos over there, principally in the Minot, North Dakota area, north, south, whatever. And then they flew over to Russia and did the same thing to them, just to let them know, don't think about it, which is wonderful. Because they're not going to let this planet get puffed. You know, it's way too much in many ways. So what I'm asking you in regards to these points made, how do you feel the aliens are expressing their states of mind, their opinions about what's going on right now? Now, true, we and or they have access to time machines where you can do it's real easy to do a correlation. I know this time machine wise of what's 11 years into the future, because Al Balick taught me about that. But as well, a timeline beyond 11 years, is there a set of points that strike to mind with you about what the aliens were doing a couple of weeks ago, and or what is the current politic of the alien groups? And what are the alien groups we're referring to? Like, was it Pleiadians or Lyrians or Syrians that shot down that thing a couple of weeks ago? or do you have an understanding of who might have done that using 4 lasers? There's the cue. Go ahead, go.
First off, let's kind of take this slow because you asked a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But I want to bring something to everyone's attention. Now, when Queen Elizabeth died, that created a power struggle within the reptilians. All right, so you have all these reptilians. They're trying to. There's a power struggle going on within them. Now, getting back to the missile that was shot off on the east coast of the United States. First off, that wasn't an American missile. That was shot off of a British warship, and it was basically it was a dummy missile, but they were just showing they wanted to shoot it like 4,000 or 5,000 miles and let it splash down into the empty ocean. All right, so when they fired the missile, it didn't reach its target, and I presume that's the one you're talking about. And that was so unnecessary because one, the British can bring their warships anywhere they want to test fire a weapon. They got that warship in U.S. territory waters and shot it. All right, that was very dangerous because one, it looked like the missile's coming from the United States. If they want to test fire a missile, they can go to Australia and shoot it out into the Pacific there. But getting next to our nation, going into our territorial waters to shoot a missile off, they should have all been kicked out of the United States. I mean, we have British troops on our that train on our bases. Every one of those British troops should have been kicked out of those bases. If they want to train, they have Australia. They don't need Nevada to do their training. Now, as far as the other questions about, there was another missile that was fired off back in the late 60s or early 70s, and the same thing happened where a flying saucer disabled it. I'm aware of that first incident because one of the men in black was in the room with me, and we evaluated the tape. So I saw that tape, that the first tape you talked about many decades ago. But now the second tape that you're talking about, I have not seen it.
Well, at the same time, I don't know how released it might be also. That'd have to be a satellite thing. Well, okay, that's what happened there. Thank you for the feedback. Very good. Next point is, as I was rolling, is current politics. Well, maybe it's unanswered within the alien group. You seem to keep ties with the reptilian factor, which is, thank you, wonderful. At the same time, what the Pleiadians are about, Sirians, Lyrians. Well, I'll put it, striking to mind, I'll put it this way. Back in 2005, when I was doing heavy research with Chief David Webb, Cherokee, on Judaculla Rock in Jackson County, North Carolina, we had perceived through our wands that there was going to be an alien attack on the planet of a small contingency of, let's say, outlaw Pleiadians, Lyrians, and some other group. I forget who they were. And it got stopped. I'm not going to say how, but we were able to stop it, and it didn't happen. So what was bringing that on for 2005? We never figured that one out. But at the same time, that took place to our perception. So current event-wise, where the Pleiadians are in position with current matters, and the Lyrians, I don't know if they kind of ride coattail in regards to the subject of the Earth per se, with the Pleiadians, who are like our primary protectors, where I'm at with it, to my knowing. Do you have an understanding of what might be going on with the Pleiadians with current matters here? Now, of course, non-intervention is the primary base of all cosmic law because of the Creator. So what language and grace in your response is understandable in denoting what might be involved with the Pleiadians currently, or are they just watching things happen? Do you have an understanding of their position and circumstance with current matters? Maybe you don't. I don't know.
Well, first of all, when it comes to all these different groups, Dick, each group has their own opinion, and it goes by. One group can have the power for a time being, and then it goes to their resources. Their resources may dwindle through time, while another group's resources build up. So it's clearly no certain group in charge. I'm more aligned with the tall white warriors, and their philosophy is not to interfere, which is a good thing, because if we don't develop on our own, we're kind of like a retarded child. We have to develop on our own.
But Jimmy, we're being interfered with. I mean, we have a breakaway, a portion of humanity which is already part of the breakaway, and humans are being utilized as slaves in these projects. But the ET's like, oh well, we're not supposed to interfere, but we are being interfered with. So, does that really apply to us, Jimmy? What do you think?
Well, what we have is different political. I'm going to say political leaders. I'm talking about what's going on in Washington, D.C. Okay. We have these different political leaders that are pandering themselves to different groups. And they're going with who's ever in power at the time. And so it's interference on both ends of it, not only from the aliens, but from the humans themselves, the different political groups. Right now, getting back to these nuclear missiles being fired, if we get into a nuclear war, we're going to shoot all our missiles off, and then we have no missiles to defend ourselves from a external threat coming from deep space. And we're taking care, rather than we get into a cosmic war, they can just sit back and we can shoot the missiles at each other on Earth, and we can wipe our own selves out. So that's what I'm trying to say there. Now, getting back to the British, you may recall the British have 2 aircraft carriers, and one of them couldn't get out of port. Okay, so the British are down to one aircraft carrier, one operational aircraft carrier. And you have the French president threatening to send in troops to Ukraine. And then you have British special forces, they're on the ground in Ukraine. And what it is, they can't get the economy started, and and the banks are about ready to fall. Um, it's not going to happen overnight, but once the BRICS nations get organized, our money is going to be worthless. And so that's what's going on right now. We got a lot of external problems going on within ourselves, and we're being exploited by the aliens themselves.
So thank you, Jimmy, for sharing that. Let's go to maybe our discussion last night with Princess Diana. So what was your relationship to Princess Diana, and was she a reptilian shapeshifter? What can you tell us about that, Jimmy? Yeah.
Well, first of all, how I met Princess Diana. I met Princess Diana through Arizona Wilder. Now, you don't hear much about Arizona Wilder, but David Icke and her used to be, they put out a book together. I think they may have even did a couple of videos. But she was known as Mother Goddess, and she had telekinesis. Now, people have telekinesis, they have to go to Nellis Air Force Base to be studied. And so the first time I met Arizona Wilder, I was about six years old. And, you know, like she could walk into a room and the drawers would open on their own. The cabinet doors would open, dishes would rattle, and but what it was telekinesis, and she was doing it unintentionally. And I also had a problem with telekinesis, so we had to go in, and we had barcodes lasered in on our arms. We're sort of like a soldier's getting a dog tag. Well, we have lasers that's imprinted on our skin, our barcodes. But she ended up, yeah, that's her. She ended up going over to England, and she's like a caregiver, like a nurse, and she waited on Princess, I mean not Princess, Queen Elizabeth, and she cared for Queen Elizabeth. Now, she could also summon creatures. I've channeled reptilians with her, and so she can also channel extraterrestrials. And she's a good woman. She's not a shapeshifter. She just has telekinesis. And but I met Princess Diana through Arizona Wilder. And when I got to knowing Princess Diana knew that I had that I was into intelligence, and that I was close to the German intelligence. And so she was concerned with Charles because Charles was using MI6 to spy on her. So Princess Diana said, Jimmy, I need to get word out of what's going on, and would you help me? And I said, okay, Diana. So I would deliver messages for her through back channels because she did not trust MI6. And but I wasn't romantically involved with her. She liked another guy. She met when she was in school, high school, and I would arrange for her to meet with this guy that he was over in Switzerland, and she was a very unhappy person with Charles. She has she's what you may call a breeder, okay, and the royal family, the Spencers, they use the Spencers to breed with. But she's not a reptilian, but she carries certain genes in her that makes the reptilians, in other words, if they can get her pregnant, and that she's able to carry their a reptilian child.
So they needed to bring in fresh blood into their bloodlines because I guess they go insane when they breed with each other too much.
Yeah, well, yeah, Prince Charles is insane. He's very strange. I know Prince Charles. I've seen Prince Charles shapeshift. I've seen the Queen Mother shapeshift.
Can you tell us what they look like when they shapeshift?
Well, not what you have up there. Nothing like that. You can throw those pictures away. The Queen Mother, on one of the old Star Trek tapes, you see Captain Kirk struggling or fighting a reptilian, and it looks like he's got an alligator head. If you can dig up that old clip, that's what the Queen Mother looks like. If you go into these, if you go over to Egypt and you start looking on the walls, you'll see pictures of reptilians that look like a crocodile. That's how the Queen Mother looks like. Okay, right. That she looks kind of like that. No,
not this one, but yeah.
Top left. That right there.
Yeah.
Now the head's a little more flatter, but she looks like that.
Wow.
That's what she looks like. Now, Prince Charles looks like the head of a cobra snake.
Wow.
All right. The child looks different from the mother.
What's going on the show?
But he's got the head of a cobra snake and the body of a reptilian. That's what Charles looks like.
I want to show another one up, Jimmy. This one is this is Peter Nygaard. So he's a disgraced fashion designer from Canada that was like at that island that you're not allowed to say here on YouTube anymore. I got a video and deleted it. Yeah, so my friend said that she went to the hotel room and his wife was sitting on the bed and laughing, saying he's in the bathroom. And she goes in the bathroom and he's shapeshifting into a T-Rex. So yeah, those are apparently very vicious, carnivorous rather.
I don't know anything about him.
Okay.
Okay. Pull up Egyptian reptilian. Let's just get some pictures up.
Like the crocodile one.
No, just close it, James.
Yes.
Go to the far right and click the X right there and close that out. Now go back up. Now just start scrolling. Slow, James.
So was basically Anunnaki.
I'll know. Just keep scrolling. Slow,
say,
slow.
they
Don't
say
don't
anyway.
don't jerk it so hard. Just
Well, that's what my mouse does.
I know. I was saying maybe you can just drag it
Okay, we'll do that then.
real slow. Slow, James.
I know there's some better looking artwork here. I've got a drawing I could show you of one on Mars. You want to?
Let's do this first.
Okay. How about do like the crocodile, Egyptian crocodile god?
He's going slow. Just go.
Just
slow.
keep going, James.
Yeah, but we're running out of the options. Oh wait, I guess we still got some more to go through. It might look like that one, right?
Just keep
A big
dragging.
giant crocodile. Okay, keep going. Okay, well, just keep talking, Jimmy, while we're looking for it.
I'm looking as you go there.
Okay.
Tell
that's
you
it.
what, type in Egyptian snakehead reptilian. Snakehead. Don't take the drake out. Take the drake out.
There it is.
The Drake,
No,
like that, like this thing on their little headdress.
no, just keep. I wish you close that far right one out.
Can make it bigger too. Is that better?
A little better.
Well, I mean, there's the little headdress thing, so they're showing you who they work
All right.
for. I guess.
James,
Yes.
to save time here,
Yes.
go back up just a second.
Okay. You keep like here. Keep going.
Go up a little bit.
And here's a carving right here on the walls.
No, I wish you wouldn't jerk it so fast.
Well, I can't
Go
help-
back up to the right and close that out. Just close that picture out.
Yeah, but we're almost at the top right now.
I know. All right, wait 1 second. Hope.
Okay. Where?
Go straight down. Go down another level. Take it to the right. No, don't move the screen. Go to the right. One more. Right there. Stop. Blow the picture up.
There.
All right. Do you see the snake on the front of his head there?
Affirmative.
All right. In real life, he doesn't have a human face, but he's just the top of he's got a reptilian body, 2 arms, 2 legs, a torso. But instead of a human head, it's the head of a snake. That's what Prince Charles looks like. He looks like a cobra. His face, his head looks like a cobra attached to a human body.
Huh.
We can't find the exact picture, but I'm just using that carving there. There's a reason that they,
Well, how about a Nagas?
huh?
Like are you filming about the Nagas?
Nagas.
Nagas are like they're like the reptilian ascended masters, and according to them anyway. But they have like the head of a it could be a body of a snake.
Nothing like that.
Okay. Well, but these beings are real apparently. I wanted to I wanted to comment, Jimmy, if we were looking at this little headdress thing. There was a picture that showed 2 of them. It's actually a Mandela effect because people remember just only like right here, this Ramses thing. See, there's like 2 of them, 2 little snakes. People, how many people in the audience remember there was only 1 on the head, and now there's 2? Anybody? I'm gonna check the chat. Anybody? Well, anyway, I just thought I'll share that real quick. So basically, we have the Egyptian race, and so they were an offshoot of Atlantis, and then reptilian shapeshifters.
They're not an offshoot of Atlantis.
Well, a colony.
They're not a colony of Atlantis.
Okay, what can you tell us about it?
They're not anything at all dealing with Atlantis. I've been around an Atlantean. There's completely two different species from 2 different planets.
Okay.
So does that mean you went back in time, or did you
No,
here now?
I've been around them as a child.
Okay, because
You're mixing apples and oranges. The two are not related at all.
Let us have it. We have that. That's what it is.
Just because somebody put that out doesn't mean that they know what they're talking about. You have a lot of disinformation out there, maybe not purposely, but still people putting stuff up that they don't know much about.
Can
I've
I
been
switch gears?
Go ahead.
I want to switch gears, if I may, please, in regards to time. Last year, when I was out at Contact in the Desert in Indian Springs, east of Palm Springs, it was wonderful. And everybody's so happy because it got going again, so on and so forth. Anyway, the night before last, after the given speeches and panels, whatever, everybody was outside in the patio area having drinks, each enjoying each other's company, some people in the pool. It was wonderful. Well, anyway, for about a half hour, it got by everybody, but not me. For about a half, what are you doing? For about a half hour, this tall white came in. He was like 7'10", 8 foot tall, handsome young man in his early mid-30s, blonde boy, blue eyes, surfer tan, surfer built, not too much, but surfer built. And he's standing there, just kind of looking around with a happy grin and everybody being happy and having a good time. And in front of him, elliptically, was three like oversized Marines with big, huge muscles and neck and chest. And they were standing there like this, looking at him side by side. And he's just standing there with the little sappy look, it was really so funny. He was there for a half hour between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Then they got him out of there. I was going to take a picture of him, but I didn't because I thought, well, they might have a second overlay of personnel. And if they grab my cell phone, I'd be screwed, because everything's on a cell phone. So anyway, I share with you that. And I was sitting with Linda Moulton Howe, and I told her about that when the guy left out. And I said, where's the three locations that you said, that they hang out or live, whatever? One of which was Indian Springs, northwest of Vegas, of which I went out there the next day. And it turns out it's an Air Force base on both sides of the road. It's really an ugly location. I mean, it's just really, it was so boring. I just turned around and went back to Vegas. It's only about 35 miles, so it was no big deal. But what I'm sharing with you is you gave reference to the tall white warriors. I understand that. But at the same time, some of them are just very regular people. My friend in Cashiers, North Carolina, who used to be a pilot for the Janus flights, he's hung out with them, I guess at Nellis or Area 51, wherever, that he used to fly people. And so I'm asking, is there a further understanding you can share? Because apparently you've hung out with them some too. And are they just being very passive, or are they quietly in the background in case they have to intercede with bad military stuff that might attempt to take place by whoever in the near future? What reflections do you have?
Well, first of all, they raised me.
They what?
They raised me.
Oh, okay.
I grew up around them.
And your childhood friends and stuff like that? Mm-hmm.
Well, let me try to touch on that a little. When I was young, right after JFK was assassinated, I went back to Nellis Air Force Base, and I had to go into isolation for a couple of weeks, which basically was debriefing. But that was not by the tall white warriors. That was by the Air Force itself. And when I was out there, I saw a tall white. I didn't speak to him, but I knew he was extraterrestrial. But it turned out that was Range 4 Harry. And I think what the tall whites were doing, they just wanted to see who I was to size me up. And they ended up putting me out at Air Force, put me out at the weather station out in the desert for isolation, which is just happened to be not very far from where the tall whites were at.
North End.
And I think the tall whites, because it's just like you said, it's so boring out there. There's nothing to do. And me being so young, 6 years old, 7 years old, they kind of, I guess maybe they want to just kind of peep in and make sure I'm okay. Because there was no adults in that shack. It's just me. And one night, I seen I thought it was a ghost on a horse that had 6 legs, not 4 legs, but 6 legs. And so I knew there wasn't horses that had 6 legs that glowed at night. But the guy that was on the back of the horse was dressed in white, and it glowed. And he started barking like a dog. See, they don't speak human language. Their language, a male tall white sounds just like a dog. He barks like a dog. And I knew it wasn't a ghost, so he just reared up the horse, and he just was showing off, having a good time, and it was just his way of saying, hey, I'm here at this, just dry sense of humor. But a couple of nights later, I could hear chirping like birds chirping at nighttime out in the desert. Now, birds don't chirp at nighttime, they chirp in the morning. And then I could hear dogs barking. And you could look out in the desert and it's pitch black. I mean, it wasn't even a moon out that night, so I couldn't really see. But it was a whole lot of activity. Well, what it was, the females, they chirp like a little bird, and the males, they bark like dogs. So I'm thinking the Paiute Native Americans, when they communicate on their when they go out on raiding parties, they imitate sounds like birds or dogs, and I'm thinking that's where they picked it up at. They picked it up from the tall white warriors. So Nellis Air Force Base sits partially on Native American Paiute land, and so that's how I got to knowing them. But through the years, when I was growing up, I think I was about 8 when this happened. One of their spacecraft had a malfunction, and it crashed into a ravine. And I walked up on it, and there was a tall white warrior trapped in there. And it ended up, I went back into the base area and got help, and they got the tall white warrior out. Of course, both of his legs was broke, but he was Rachel's husband, and so they felt, that I should be trained in search and rescue. So I was trained to, like if a spacecraft was to crash, I was to go out and go through search and rescue and return the tall white warrior. So that's how I got equipped, how I learned how to fly the shuttlecraft. That's how I got to know them. But no, they're not going to interfere. Now let me say this: if a nuclear missile was heading towards the United States, yeah, they might intervene, but they're not. What they're more concerned with is that they don't want their rest over to be disturbed. Okay, they don't care who's in power. What president's in power? Only thing they want is for no type of an incident to occur that they would get caught up in.
Let me say something. There was a year before this contact in the desert circumstance. I happened to be in the Trump Hotel, Las Vegas, in the gift shop. And I was getting a few things. I'm a big Trumper. And I was there at the Hilton the night that he won in New York. I was there for it. But anyway, and in fact, I was now I think about it, North Carolina Republican State Convention a month before he announced. So that's how far back I go. Anyway, I was in the Trump gift shop, Vegas, and one gal was in front of me getting a few things. I had a few keychains, coffee cups, whatever. And there was this oversized gal, beautiful gal, but in scale, a large person at the counter. And she was purchasing, in the process of purchasing, a little silver set of earrings and a little necklace that you would give like a 7-year-old girl, a little gift thing. Well, anyway, she was only wanting to buy like one of the earrings and not the other one or the necklace. And the cashier's going, no, ma'am, it's a set. You have to buy the whole set. Whole set was like $167, I think. And she, but I only need one earring. No, ma'am, you need to buy the whole set if you're going to buy the set. Well, okay. And then she bought the whole set. Beautiful gal. She was hot, but of scale, a giant, mini giant. I've met a true female giant who is a very classy gal from Denmark. But anyway, so when she left out, I thought, oh my God, that's an alien. So I broke line and tried to catch up with her, but she got away. And I wasn't able to do that. So I missed out on that one. But I thought to myself, it's like, yes, I hear what you say. They just don't want to be messed with. But in part, it's because they're of such a type of childlike nature. I was struck by both of these occasions, the young man a year ago and her a couple, 3 years ago, because I've done like 5 contact in the deserts. So I ask you in reference to this, well, one, she was a large person talking English and buying this set. So they can be very normal. And it's like she came off the reservation and she was there at the Trump Hotel. They're all very much into Trump. I do know that. All the aliens are into Trump. And that's nice. Even the ones that are threatened, because they appreciate a good rivalry. So I share and ask with you, what do I share and ask with you?
You want to know if she's an alien?
Well, no, she was an alien because
Okay.
I told Curtis about this when I got back to Atlanta. The mountains?
Okay.
And he phoned a buddy, I guess another Janet's pilot or whatever. And the guy gave affirmation. He said, yeah, that was one. So this childlike nature is that sort of a premise of how they, as well as the IQ they have in general and all the knowledge therein, is that childlike nature the premise of their not wanting to be messed with in general, not out of fear, not out of assertiveness, but just they're just kind of a dopey, childlike crowd, that happens to be extraordinary when they can be or have to be. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, um, let me make an example here. I'm going to have to disagree with you on what you observed. Um, I'm sure you saw it. I think you sized it up a little wrong. Now, if let's look at history here. When the Spanish came to North America, and for that matter, South America, they brought disease with them: smallpox, chickenpox, measles, and it wiped out the Indian tribes. It decimated entire societies. Now, going back to these tall white warriors, they have no immunity against a common code. And the same is true for us. If we catch a common code from the tall whites, it may have the same effect. It may wipe out large portions of the human population. So when you meet a tall white warrior, you don't ever touch him or her.
I've heard that.
You don't sneeze on them.
Nothing.
Yeah. So it was Rachel, the tall white warrior. She was the one that taught me about germs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's not that they don't want to be friends, it's that they don't have no immunity and we don't. So anytime that you encounter them, you have to be extremely careful because, like I said, disease goes both ways. It can wipe out all humans in America. If I caught a code from Indian Springs and I came back and coughed on you, could probably kill you and James. You have no immunity. All right. So when you were at the party and you stated you saw what appeared to be a tall white, the military has a program where they'll get a deformed person or that you think is an alien, and they'll bring it around you, and they'll try and trick you. So I don't believe you saw a full-blooded tall white warrior. I think you saw.
They weren't looking at anybody but that tall white young man. All three of them with a mean look and their muscles clenched, or their hands clenched and their muscles flexed, looking at him.
Let me tell you something. That tall white wanted to kill those three soldiers. He could kill them all three before they'd be dead before they drop the floor.
Yeah, but
all three of them.
Jimmy, the tall whites, don't they have like hollow bones like a bird?
They do, but unless you lived with them, it's real hard to explain what you saw. So what I'm trying to tell you, they have nothing to gain by going to your party or with three tall Marines flexing their muscles. It's not going to happen. What you saw was somebody imitating a tall white that got up there that was trying to get in with that group to gather some information, probably military intelligence. Okay? That's nothing unusual, what you told me. That happens all the time. And Linda Moten Howell, I can tell you some things about the cattle mutilations that would just startle you. But I don't want to get into that because it's real deep. But Linda Moten Howell, only thing she does, And I'm not saying that her heart's not in her work. What I'm saying is that it's very easily to get tricked up and spread information that that that's false. So I believe that she meant well, but the military just played a trick on her. You didn't meet a tall white warrior. Now, let me say something. A few come January the 1st, there was an incident down in Florida at a mall where a tall white accidentally appeared. So they make mistakes when they teleport, and they called out several hundred police, and the mall went into a lockdown, and people were running through the mall. There were several thousand people involved in this, and they all took pictures on their cell phones, and then their cell phones were all wiped of that incident. Now that's a real incident. James, can you pull that up?
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah,
The
I can
Miami
make it.
Mall, the Miami Mall.
But it was
Alien.
it was Bayside Mall, and I think it was like that's it right there. Let's see if I can make this bigger. It's probably gonna go to a video.
Okay, it was
Open image, new tab.
it was couple hundreds and hundreds, probably over 1,500 police cars.
It's right
Yeah.
there, Jimmy. You can see how big a police car is, and this thing is what, like, was it
He-
9 feet tall or 12 feet tall?
He's as long as that car. He's as tall as long as that car is long. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that was an accident. He was teleporting. Other words, they got the coordinates mixed up. Now that's true.
Well, I had according to eyewitnesses, they say there were some teenagers fighting over like a VCR looking box, and
That's the cover story.
okay.
That's the cover story.
Well, I'm just trying to tell you what was okay.
I know about
Jimmy,
what
but
was said about it.
they said a portal opened up, and then the beam came through, and it looked like kind of like water and like digital looking things around this portal, and then this being stepped out, and it looked confused, but they also didn't seem scared. Like, they have hundreds of police around them, and they just were like kind of like what's going on? Maybe confused.
All right. If you go to the movie Doom, DOOM, pull that up, Doom.
Yeah, that's probably what the projects that I was involved with.
I was involved with Doom.
Yeah, where they open up portals on Mars and to hell.
Yeah, I was involved with Doom. No, get out of the pictures. Go
video.
Go with video. Go with YouTube video, Doom.
Okay. Master Chief
Just
versus
put in Doom Super Soldiers teleportation. Or
Okay.
put in Doom teleportation.
Doom Super Soldier. Teleportation to Mars goes horribly wrong. Doom Annihilation. You want to see that one?
No.
This one here, arriving at a old world?
No, just
No.
put in.
Oh my gosh, Jimmy! We'll get like.
Well, we may have gotten off on something too deep there. Let's just back out of that.
I know we could get a copyright strike.
Yeah,
remember what happened to Predator series? We were playing some clips and
we got off on something too deep.
And the Predator was about you, Jimmy, and they took it down for copyright infringement. Well, wait a minute, it's you, right? So it's actually telling a documentary, but anyway, it is what it is.
Well, what it is, the bubble part or the water part, the tall whites, when they teleport, it looks like a bubble comes up to you and it engulfs you, and it's like you're inside of a bubble and then you vanish. That's what it's kind of hard to explain it, but yeah, the teenager saw some bubbles, and then the tall white disappeared. But
Well,
if you
we,
go to Doom where they're teleporting the soldiers to Mars, then you'll have an understanding of how they teleport.
okay. Well, we have there's reports of park rangers that are of course, working in national parks, and they see they some of them have one has witnessed a child dematerializing right in front of them. So, would it look something like that where you just kind of phase through out of reality?
No, it's all of a sudden it's just like water floating. Um, it's like a bubble of water floating in the air.
Could you answer this question, please? The real Skywalker came up with a good question. So, the tall whites, is the tall whites just like one species, or are we talking like a series of maybe like 10 different species? And which one is it?
We're talking one species now. There is a tall red, which is cannibalistic. I believe that was a tall white that was captured and was cloned with another creature. Just like humans can be captured and cloned and their DNA mixed with another creature, tall white, they eat mushrooms. They don't, their digestive system can only handle mushrooms. Um, there's been reports of tall reds, but those are cannibalistic. The giants of Lovelock, Nevada,
No.
which is a different species, but I believe that it might have been a tall white that was captured and cloned with another creature. But it's they're very dangerous. The tall reds. I'm familiar with the tall whites.
Are they the ones where like the Native Americans witnessed red-haired giants that were cannibals?
Yeah, the Paiutes killed them off. They
Okay,
I had one that I killed in the cave.
interesting. Because what I was going to say earlier, that essentially the Mayan civilization that existed here had contact with the Egyptians that settled here, and then they shared that technology. But some of them were shapeshifter, or like reptilians, and they were sharing technology to mutate the giants. Initially, the giants were benevolent, good people, but their DNA was mutated to become these red-haired beings that were cannibals.
I would not know about that. All I know is that Native American Paiutes feared them because they would capture the children and they were cannibalistic, and they but they're not anywhere related to the tall whites. I do believe that a tall white was captured and cloned, uh, and that's what happened. And I see the little thing about Charles Hall. I know Charles Hall, and Charles Hall is going around doing a lot of talking, uh, and he's just trying to sell books. I have nothing against Charles, but
I do. I think we should do a show with Charles Hall and you, Jimmy. Let's see if we can arrange it.
well, his wife doesn't like me,
Oh no.
and his I wasn't trying to cut into his books, but he's been taught. He hired a private detective to look for Jimmy Paine. There's another guy going around stating that he is Jimmy Paine, but he's basically a disinformation officer and spreading disinformation. That's why you have to be very careful. Even someone like Charles Hall can be duped, and that's what's going on right now. He's being duped.
Okay. Oh wow. I guess I could see why maybe that won't happen. Collaboration. But hey, Dick, you have some questions?
Well, we've done very well covering matters that we have. A nature and character of alien politics was the first premise of this program in chapter. Is there anything that strikes the mind of the alien groups in regards of their attitudes towards freedom and allowance of free will agency in a healthy way with our world, with our country, more so. Right now, the country is just, it's unbelievable. When Trump gets in, he's supposed to get in. It is not going to be pretty. The deportation factor, they are going to cut loose, and Americans have no idea how raucous they can be. Only of stories that they've heard of, down in Mexico or something like that. Do you have any reflections on alien politic or state of mind, and or what you see with the upcoming, let's say, deportation program? Nice way to put it.
Okay, well, first of all, the Russians have extraterrestrials that they're aligned to. The Chinese have aliens they are aligned to. We have aliens that we're aligned to. Mexico has aliens that they're aligned to. The point that I'm trying to make is this. You have different groups of different nations, and you have different groups of different extraterrestrials. Okay? So every one of them is in it to get something. And they're not coming to help us. Now, what's in their interest as extraterrestrial, if it can help them, yeah, they're in it. What it has to be, each extraterrestrial group has their own interest. So it has to correspond to their interest. So I would not, as far as trying to say the extraterrestrials are going to take care of us, we're on our own. Okay. And they have wars. They war amongst themselves deep out in space. And Earth is just a stopover. We're just one little speck in the universe here.
And we're like far out, the whole galactic edge, kind of like a far out outpost.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as Al used to say, he said, because of the amount of species, plant and animal, geology, that this planet is very special, and the light spectrum that the planet can be capable of, that this is very much a regarded pearl of all alien races, whether good or bad. There are other planets, of course, that I guess we're discovering some that eventually could have people on them and whatever. But it's a very special creation of the Creator. Now, okay, one last thing that comes to mind, because we're getting there. The angelic factor. Do you have an understanding, you might not, of the angelic factor in relation to some of these alien groups and where they're from, and the association or perception of angelic sorts like archangels and such? I say this because one thing I experienced when David and I were doing my Judicola Rock book called Judicola Speaks, it's on Amazon, out my porch of my house is the lake. And there was a lot of activity during that several years, really about 7-8 years, of spaceships, as well as what we termed fire ships, which in perception were like angelic communities. And the affirmation I got once that was interesting, because I mean, they were there every night for years. Well, anyway, there was a night where a spaceship was coming in, and there was the given angel ship, let's say, which are like communities, was floating off to the right. But it's like this alien ship, if it kept going like it was, it would have interfered with the pathway of the angelic ship. So what it did is it shot off to the right to not interrupt the pathway of the fire ship, of the angelic ship, which denoted several things to this perception, that the different alien groups, at whatever level or way they have a perception of an angelic physic, they regard as a higher authority of physic other than their own, or their own spectrum of understanding everything. So it strikes to mind to ask you if you have any perceptions or understanding the angelic factor with matters we've been discussing, and or in general. Do you have anything to say about that you would like to?
Now, angelic, that you're referring to religion?
Not religion, spirituality. The community of archangels and angels, there's a whole bunch of them. It's a whole thing of them of their own, but they are real. I'm not being goo goo gaga here. I'm being cold cock. That's what the deal is.
Well, first of all, you're talking about many different races of beings. Okay, just like you have different nations on earth, you have different religions. You have some people that go by Sharia law. You have some people go by, being a Catholic or a Baptist, a Presbyterian.
That's not of anything here.
But let me explain.
All right.
Because it's a real deep question.
Yes, it is.
All right. Then you have atheists.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter if you got on a sidewalk going through New York City, everybody has their own beliefs that you meet on that sidewalk. Well, the same goes true with these entities. You can have two of the same race, and they can have two different views. All right. So the spiritualness of it, and I think you've asked me this in the past, and like a little gray, the only thing a little gray doesn't have, they're not spiritual. Okay. If you ask them who are the creator, it has no meaning to them. Okay. Now humans are different because we are spiritual. When we die, and you can't see this, I have seen it. You become a spear, a ball about the size of a softball, and you illuminate. That's your spirit. Okay. And that's when you get detached from your body when you die. Now, some spirits can have an off color like an orangish brown color. That's unclean spirit. A clean spirit is going to be a white spear.
Mm-hmm.
But an unclean spirit is going to be like an orangish brown color. In other words, the spirit's corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, as far as for what you believe, it goes back to your culture. Now, the tall whites are spiritual. but they're very careful not to influence me. Okay, they would take me to their church, but I never was able to go in their church. I sat outside their church.
They had a church?
Yes, there where they gather for spiritual enrichment. Okay.
To Bob Dobbs? I just
Well,
It's
it's I could hear them outside, but
Mhm.
they weren't being cruel. It's just that they did not want to influence me because
Mhm.
they are.
Interference.
We all have our spiritual beliefs.
And were they all barking like a dog inside the church?
N-
Singing like a dog, howling like a dog?
No, no, they just went in the church. Some of it I could hear human voices, and some of it I didn't understand. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, when I first encountered an extraterrestrial, I was about 4.5, 5 years old, and it took me a little while. It doesn't take long for a child to overcome it. Children are very can get over it very easily. So that's why you hear about all these children being having extraterrestrial experiences. It doesn't affect them as much as it does an adult. And but but what I'm trying to say is that um, be leery of any type of extraterrestrial that says they are a god. Now, when I went to the moon with William Rutledge, one of the requirements was, and they asked all the astronauts that went on Apollo 20 mission, do you believe in God? And every one of them said no. That was the criteria because they did not want an astronaut to see another being and fall down on their knees thinking they're looking at God.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the only reason that I got put on it is that I have a second religion, and that is Native American Paiute religion. So I took the religion of the savage. So when it got to me, they said, "Well, he's not, he's not, he's not an atheist. Jimmy's not an atheist, but he doesn't believe in God either. But he's spiritual. He believes in Native American religion, spirits." So because I took the religion of the savage, they put me on the Apollo 20 mission. Okay.
Mhm.
Nice. And we have done a show about that where
We have, but I'm
in
telling
monolith
Dick,
and all that.
I'm telling Dick
Yep.
that just because what would you do if a reptilian, you met him at reptilian, he says, "I am God, bow down to me, Dick, and worship me." Would you bow down to him? Or would you stand up like a man and say, "No, I don't believe in you"? Okay.
I'd go berserk
Yeah.
on
And
him.
the same goes true to a little gray or to any of these other different species. So we need to get off of our knees and stop trying to worship these different beings. Um, and we need to stand on our own 2 feet. Now, just look at the Catholic Church. They're marred with sex scandals, molesting children and such. So we need to get off of our feet because religion has caused so many wars and so many indifferences.
It's
And we need,
also like there was a study done on children who grew up in religious families, and he found that they were more unhappy because just the belief system that was imposed on them,
The dogma stuff.
the dogma. Yeah.
well, we all have, we all are spiritual beings.
Mhm.
All right. So what Dick asked was a very interesting question about the spiritualness. Um, I would have to say that what the tall whites did was very good because they did not want me to try to worship them like they were a god and keep me out of the church. Uh, and they let me explore when I was on their base. I learned a lot from my teacher. I lived a little short while with Rachel in her home, and that's very unusual. But you have to remember, I was very young, so I grew up around those tall white warriors.
Did you
And
play with your kids?
no, no, I take that back. The kids like to play hide and seek,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thinking they did that for two reasons. One, they want the children to hide from humans because humans can abuse them or harm them. So I did play hide and seek with one of the female warriors, female warriors, a little child, a little young tall white warrior. Um, but it was only to play hide and seek. But I never touched her. Um, it was more like a training exercise because it taught her how to train from another human being.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I have some more. So you saw earlier a drawing of some reptilians. Here's another one. This one's on the moon. I'm sorry, Mars. So this one. Okay, but I'm pulling it up. But yeah, so I thought we could maybe go back to a little bit more about the reptilian
Tommy
stuff.
knockers. Tommy knockers is what
Well,
you have on.
these are the crocodile ones. I'm trying to. I don't know why it's not. I pressed this. It's 2021. This one here. So here's another one. Yeah.
That kind of looks like the queen in a way. A long snout, but not with. She didn't have a tail.
Oh wow.
There are some that do have tails, but the queen didn't.
So let's go back a little bit to Arizona Wilder. She was like a nanny for the queen, essentially.
She was a healthcare provider for the
Healthcare
queen,
provider. Okay.
but
She's
she
still alive?
channeled for them.
She's still alive?
I've
Oh.
heard two stories. I know that her husband died of liver cancer. Um, I don't know. I heard that she died, but I haven't been able to confirm that. But she was up in Quebec, Canada, and but anytime I channel reptilians, I always did it with her. It takes two of us to control these spirits.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the spirits are very hard to control. Now,
Like Olivia James, she could channel a certain entity. So like say they wanted like one of these demons inside of her, so that they could eat with her. They would keep her in the house for a week, and they would get messages. And when I was doing a session with one of these entities with Olivia, they were all like, "Oh, I demand respect and demand respect." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Guys, but they seem like these entities really hate doing this kind of work for these people. But yeah, so it's a little.
well, first of all, if you go to the movie Indiana Jones and I believe it's a of Temple of Doom, not real sure, but it's the first one where they find the Ark and they do a ceremony, and these spirits come out of the Ark. That is very real. I've had that happen to me before. And you have to close your eyes because once these spirits get in you, they'll take your souls over. Um, but that's how I would, me and Arizona Wilder would channel these spirits. Yeah. Um, that's what I was seeing, except there wasn't much white color to them. It was more of a dark color.
So here's a scene right there.
Yeah.
So
But it's more reptilians. It's like a moth being attracted to a light bulb. They just fly around you, and but I've used the arc before, and that's very true.
wait. Hold on. You actually used the Ark,
Yeah,
like the Ark of Covenant?
yeah.
Uh,
We
oh,
have it.
you,
We
you
have it.
okay? Well, first of all, how many are there? Is there just one, or is more? There's
Just
like
one arc.
okay, and okay. Do you know the story? Oh my gosh, we have to do another show, guys. We're gonna have to do another show about it. But just tell us quickly. So, like, what was the what were they using it for? How about that?
When you saw the show where they did the ceremony opening the ark with the spirits coming out and flying around and the lightning coming out of the ark, all of that is very, very real.
So essentially, this movie is basically a documentary, pretty much close to it.
I well, parts of it rings very true. Um, I would not call it a documentary. Now, the part about where it was in the crate and it burnt the symbol of the SS on the crate, that's true. I saw the
What?
crate.
Wow. So it had a consciousness to it.
Well, it's evil, and it's very evil. Was in uh, the um, the Covenant. It's something that
Was it like King Solomon who? What? No, it was before that. Was
all I know was that when I was at Area 51, we did a ceremony because if you don't, how I got to handling reptilians was through the ceremony, and the my instructor, when we opened the ark, he said, "Do not look at it because it'd try to possess you. That's the purpose of closing your eyes. If you think you're going to lose operational control, you close your eyes. If you're not going to lose operation control, keep your eyes open." But it's more of a fear factor when you're fooling with spirits, James, that are not all human. These spirits were not all human. So it takes time to build your confidence up how to handle them.
Okay.
I did another ceremony when I was at Camp Hero. We opened up at that time we didn't have a covenant, but I channeled it. I didn't have to have the covenant there, but I could channel the spirits because I had prior knowledge of it.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So why would they have negative entities inside this ark? I thought it was some kind of protection device.
No, it's all reptilians. It's a negative energy in it, and it would not have mattered. You could have had, instead of having an SS symbol on the wood crate, you could have had a US symbol. It would have burned the US symbol. You could have had an Israeli symbol on that wooden crate. It would have burned the Israeli symbol. It did not matter. They're making out the Germans as being corrupt. It is not. What's in the art is corrupt.
Okay. And what about the one in Ethiopia?
I don't know about what's in Ethiopia. All I know is that we have it. It's in a warehouse, and that's how I learned to channel. And now I was channeling. I started channeling when I was in first grade, and I channeled for a good many years. So it's nothing new to me. I could sit down tomorrow and we could open the covenant up and I could repeat the ceremony and it would start all over again.
Oh wow. Well, Jimmy, let's do let's follow up on that later if you don't mind, because let's go back to Diana. I'm sorry. It was actually Arizona Wilder who saw. I think you said she saw Reptilian, or she saw the Queen family turn into Reptilian when
Everything, everything that she has said, James, is true. That woman, if she's done anything, she's told the truth, and she's been prosecuted. She's been treated like trash. She was abandoned by David Icke. I know David Icke. I've been knowing David Icke ever since he was 17 years old. And Arizona Wilder was trying to tell the truth, and nobody believed her.
and David Icke helped her out initially.
David Icke was in it to sell his books. That's all he wanted to do. He was using her to sell his books. And she is a good woman. Is I feel real bad about what happened to her. It is really a tragic story, that what she had to go through, what she suffered, and
What about the Tavistock Institute? Was there a connection with David Icke? I know he was exposing that.
Let me say this much: when I first met David, David was 17 years old, and I was a few years younger. This is many decades before he came out, and David told me everything I need to know about the reptilians way back then. So one night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I was outside in the street in a car, and this is what happened. The phone would ring. David would pick the phone up, not knowing who was on the end of the line. And you ever picked the phone up and you heard a fax machine running? Well, a fax machine gives a tone off, okay? But what happened is a phone could ring at 3 o'clock in the morning. David Icke can pick it up and put it to his ear, and there's a certain tone, a certain pitch that would go through the phone. And then whatever it needed to know, David will tell everything that he knew. Say David had a conversation with you earlier that day, and somebody and the phone rings. There's a tone, and they said, "Tell me everything about James and Dick. Everything that y'all talked about today. I want to know." David would tell the entity everything that was said that y'all two talked about. And then another tone would come through like a fax machine, and David would think he's got somebody had picked up on a wrong number. He would have no memory of what he had just stated.
And he would have a photographic memory too of the details, probably that.
No, he would not have any memory of the conversation.
Well, when he was talking to the agent, he would, because they would activate that aspect.
Yeah. He would have a photographic memory of everything that y'all two said, but when the tone would come back through, he'll be clueless. He'll think, well, hell, this is a wrong number, and hang the phone up. But what he would do, he would get in his car at 3 o'clock in the morning. He would drive himself to Tavistock Institute, and then he would go in there, do the mind control treatments, and then he'll come out. Now, so I knew David Icke was compromised many, many decades ago. I'm not saying David Icke is a sneaky person. Look, James, if your car broke down on the side of the road, David would stop, change your tire, boost you off. Maybe, and if you were broke, give you a $20 bill and shake your hand. I'm not saying he's a bad person. I think he'll do anything he could for you. But David is compromised. That's what I'm trying to say. And his handler was Zachariah Stitchin. Zachariah Stitchin was the royal family's personal biographer. Okay,
I met him.
And Zachariah Stitchin, he said, "Hey kid, you want to make some money?" And like a fool, I said, "Yeah." He said, well, "You like to get some gold?" I said, "Yeah." And then so I met the Queen, and the Queen threatened to kill me because I didn't bow to the Queen. All right. And
Oh, wow. Why
yeah,
did you do that? You didn't want to, or you forgot, or what?
Didn't know to.
I didn't know that you had to bow in front of the Queen.
And besides, you're not you're American. You're not.
I'm an American and I'm a kid. And she said, "Take him round back and kill him back there." And they took me out to kill me. And then Zachariah Stitcher said, "That's okay. I'll take care of him." And he got next to me. He said, "Look, you do exactly what I tell you to do, or they're going to kill you." He said, "We want you to go to such and such planet, and we want you to pick up this go. We want you to mine go for us." I said, "Yes, I'll do that." And he handed me like about 12 or 13 sacks, empty sacks, maybe about a foot tall, 12 inches tall. And they put me in a spacecraft. They flew me to a planet, and I picked up gold nuggets off the ground till I filled up all those sacks. And then maybe about a month later, they showed back up and for the gold, and they brought me back to Earth. And but no, Zachariah Stitchin, he was a sleaze bag. He was very dangerous.
Was he a reptilian too?
No, what he was doing was he had researched the royal family. He had researched all this reptilian stuff, and he was training David Icke to take his place once he died.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about your interaction with Zachariah Stitchin.
Well, no, I just met him. He was doing a panel in Atlanta with my friend Robin Quayle, who I knew for many decades. Robin would bring a lot of speakers to Atlanta and organize an event, what have you. That's how I met That's how I met Billy Cooper. I hung out with him 4 times, and of course Al. He became a friend for 25 years. And he even wanted to live with me because he was poor. They robbed him of all of his benefits, whatever. But he was poor. But he was a real fuss budget, and nobody really wanted to take him in because he was such a fuss budget. No, great, wonderful. We had a lot of hangout, but no, he had struggling years and wound up dying in a Mexico convalescent home or something like that. So he was taken care of to the end. Had a little red, what was that, an Escort or something like that car that he tried to keep going, and did. But he was great. I had him up at the house once. We had a abduction of a family that took place, and it was like 7, 8 people, the Duncan family, and they even took the dog, which is rare. Why would they take the dog? And well, maybe for dinner, I don't know. But all that was left was one teenage boy that was wandering around just fried in the brain, and he wound up going into a mental institution. But they burned a sacred hoop in a not a mountainside, but just kind of a little molehill side. So I got grass samplings of the hoop area inside the hoop, as well as inside the hoop and outside the hoop, and gave them to Bob, my mentor, who was still with NSA. And I said, here's the baggies. Y'all just go do whatever you want and research the grass. And he did. Oh, thanks. He did. That was kind of a covert time at the time, but that's how it went. So, and the Suburbans were out there the day after the abduction, and with some Chinese, or not Chinese, but Japanese sort of folks, as well as American in their Suburbans investigating the site. Took 2 years for the hoop to grow away.
Thank you, Dick, for that. I had 3 more questions about what you were saying, Jenny, if that's okay. So when you brought the gold back, was the queen happy with you now? She forgave you and didn't want to kill you?
She gave you a nugget?
Yeah, did she give you any gold? Did you keep any of it?
No apology. It was just their way of how they brought me into the fold. And the deal was that the only reason I was brought back is that the queen wanted me to channel the creator, the head reptilian. So me and Arizona Wilder, we went to Windsor Castle. Back in the garden back there, there was a slab where we did the ceremony on, and we channeled the spirits, the reptilian spirits, which were very hard to control. And but in a way that was good, because when the queen dies, she thinks that those spirits will accept her. They won't. Those spirits, they see her as a half-breed, and so those spirits will consume her soul. That was my doing. I channeled unfriendly reptilian spirits to haunt her. Now, if you notice, there's 4 pallbearers. There should be 3. That casket's like 9 foot long, and she's like 5'2". I mean, what, 95 pounds? I mean, wow. when they die, they turn back into their. See the dragon on the coffin. It doesn't have a British flag. No, we have a dragon flag. What?
Wow.
Why do we have a dragon flag and not a British flag? So that's what that is. That's a reptilian. Boy, she's a hateful woman. I was glad when she died. That was when she died, that was the happiest day of my life.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Yeah. So that's pretty.
Wow.
Do you know a lot about Diana's death? Was was that like an accident through the paparazzi or
no?
Okay,
no.
tell us what happened.
They didn't want her to marry a sand digger.
No. What happened was, I was in Paris when it happened, and I was a few cars behind them. Okay. Now, what happened was, they took a high-powered flashlight, and when they were going through the tunnel, they took the flashlight, pointed it to the driver in the car that she was in, and they blinded the driver. Just like if someone took a picture of you and your eyes, you lost focus, you know. That's what happened. And when I looked in the car, I knew she wasn't going to survive it. I saw her in the car, and when the time the police got there, I took off. I was trying to catch up with the car that caused the accident, and I ended up losing that car in the process. She was purposely murdered.
Well, Jimmy, do you think maybe maybe they put a clone of her in the car and she escaped?
That's her. That was her. Um,
Double.
Oh, her double.
no,
Oh,
that she has served her purpose, and she couldn't get she has served her purpose, and it was during the cycle of the moon she was being sacrificed. She was being
and
sacrificed.
was there any like bad beef between her and Queen Elizabeth?
You buddy believe it.
And what was it about? If you could tell us.
They because she had told the people that they were reptilians, and the queen just wanted her dead. She didn't serve any more purpose. That
Wow.
was look the pillar in the tunnel. That was a 13th pillar that she hit. If you count the pillars in the tunnel, see those pillars back there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 13th one she hit.
So that's like, well, 13th. So what's the symbology behind that one?
13 is a bad number. 13 is when I there was 13 nights. You know, like Friday the 13th,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Catholic Church killed the knights,
Yeah, the Templars.
the Templars. There was 13 of them, and they were killed on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, they arrested them. Then they were
Arre-
brought to the
yeah,
stake where they burn them
Mhm.
yeah.
higher.
Okay.
So it's a symbolic thing. It was a ritual killing.
Wow. And so she witnessed the Queen shape shifting, and
Yes,
she was doing
yes.
interviews. What do you know about the interviews that she was doing?
I saw the interview, and the interview went into length where she was explaining about the queen shape shifting, that she needed blood. Um, when I was with Arizona Wilder was taking her tampons and put them in a mason jar, and she would hand the mason jar to the queen, and the queen would open up the jar and take the tampon by the string and put it in a glass of water with ice in there, and she would dip it like you would a tea bag, and let the string hang off the side of the glass, and then she would take the water and drink it. The menstrual blood is just like a refreshing drink to her. I actually saw that firsthand, her doing that in front of Arizona Wilder.
Wow.
That was Wilder's tampon, or
Yeah,
who's?
it was Arizona's tampon.
I see. I see.
She was taking her tampons and bringing it to the queen, and then the queen would take it and dip it in ice water like you do iced tea, and then drink it. I actually saw that within 10
Did she
foot of her,
did
looking
she
at her.
did she put cream in the cup before the tampon?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
She just it was just menstrual blood and water.
Hey,
Mhm.
Jimmy, I'm going to share my screen. I want you to tell me what do you think about this scene here? We probably all have heard about this. So Trump is walking in front of the Queen. You remember this? I'm July 14th, 2018. You remember this, Jimmy?
Yeah. What about it?
So he wasn't bowing. He was walking. You're not supposed to walk in front of the queen. See?
Well, I mean, James, it's the way the camera's angled, and but I just know that um, they like using the U.S. They want the U.S. to fight their wars for them.
Okay.
She's using him.
Well, not anymore, I guess. So,
Mhm.
okay. Well, let's see here. Shall we? Do you want to ask any other questions?
No, I think we've done real well. I'm quite happy, and um, everything's in place just fine. Jimmy, I guess we have to just see how matters are going to play out in the next couple months. I'm in faith just fine. And I pray for those souls that'll be subject to military indiscretions on both sides of both Russians and Ukrainians. You know, it's a real meat market over there as far as that. As far as one thing then that strikes mind, as far as the Gaza campaign, I understand that 80% of the Hamas military has been alleviated. It might be a little more than that. How that's going to bear out after it's all said and done. I mean, the Gazians, they voted the Hamas in, you know, so, and they really do have a hate for the Jews. And I'm a convert myself, though I don't practice it so much, but I did it several decades ago. Do you have any reflections on the Hamas Gaza campaign taking place over there?
Also, Jimmy, Q says they're going to save Israel for last. So comment about that too.
Israel for last. What's that about?
I guess the last campaign until the planet flips, I guess.
Well, first off, let's take it one step at a time here. They won't humans killing humans. Okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, we have the United Nations. They have all these troops. Why can't the United Nations go in and stop it? They're not going to do it. So, the United Nations, they're flooding this country right now. All right. They flooded Palestine back in 48, and it's not working out there. Okay, so the United Nations does not should I consider the United Nations an outlaw organization. They're not going. We know there's a genocide going on. They won't intervene. They won't intervene.
Mm-mm.
And they created Israel. It was an illegal settlement. And at the same time, they're over here flooding this country with illegals.
Jimmy, was it? Weren't they trying to find a better solution than the final solution? They were trying to create a homeland, and then Germany was refusing to let the Jews go because they wanted to get a Holocaust. And I put that in quotation marks because the numbers differ what the actual historical records from the first Red Cross suggested. But yeah, and even that whole state has the crest of Rothschild right on their flag. So is it really a Jewish state or is it a Rothschild? Sorry, go ahead. What do you think, Jimmy?
Well, when they were in Germany, now prior to World War One, Germany, all right, after World War One was lost, Germany was broken off, and the state of Poland was created. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Germany invaded Poland back during the Second World War, they were just reclaiming part of their country. Okay. That'd be just like if California was broken off from the United States and then we reinvade California. All right. So Germany was simply going back in, taking back what was broken off from them. Now, the Jewish people had basically had been brought in there, and after World War One, they were brought in, and nobody had any papers. They just started taking over property they did not own. So when the Germans showed up on the land, and they were squatting on the land, so they were rounded up because they were squatters. That's what got them in the concentration camps.
Oh wow, is that even in the history books?
No, they don't teach that. Now, prior to war breaking out between Germany and U.S., Hitler put them on an ocean liner and offered to send them to the United States, and the United States did not want them.
I'm going to share my screen, Jimmy. Look, this is called the Madagascar Plan. So it was proposed by Nazi German government to forcefully relocate the Jewish population of Europe to the island of Madagascar. Franz Rademacher, head of the Jewish Department of German Foreign Office, proposed the idea in June 1940, shortly before the fall of France. So yeah, so they're going to resettle these Polish Jews in Madagascar. Was investigated. But yeah, so ultimately it was struck down because they never did it. But so yeah, there were options to try to save the lives of these people. But
James, I knew Captain Mengele personally.
what was it, Joseph Mengele? Yeah,
I knew him personally. I grew up underneath him, and the stories about him are all war propaganda stuff. Now, what was in that camp were vampires. I think me and you've talked about that before, where he was taking the blood samples, and what they were finding reptilian hybrids in there with the Jews. So that's why the medical camps were established to break off these hybrid shape-shifting humans. Okay. So, but just because, see, whoever wins the war writes the history. Okay. So the British, Hitler knew that the royal family were reptilian. He knew that.
all right.
Your history has been tampered with from Camp Hero.
Could you answer this? So yeah, we have nukes. There's more than enough nukes to destroy the whole world over. So yeah, so if the ETs were waiting for us to destroy each other, then there would still be plenty of nukes left, right, Jimmy?
If we fire all of our nukes, it only frees the planet up for the reptilians, which they won't.
Yeah, but we'll still have more nukes left to take care of them too, right?
James, in the end, we get down to about 145 million worldwide population, and then it stabilizes and it slowly rises back up to 500 million, and it stabilizes at 500 million. There is not going to be a United States. There's not going to be a China, a Russia. There's no more countries. Humans survive, but it is a great reset.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jimmy. We're at the 2-hour mark, so we're going to call it. Is that right, Dick?
Yeah, we've done well. Thank
Okay.
you graciously, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. Very enlightening. We learned, I mean, I'm still kind of in shock about David Icke working for the Tavistock Institute, and just, oh my gosh, that popsicle, that's image is going to be in my head for a while. Arizona Wilder's popsicle.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
I'm not saying David did anything that sneaky. Well, all I'm saying is that he's been forced into the chair, and I do believe that he means well, that he's trying to help, but he's compromised. He's got a split personality, and he doesn't realize it.
Okay. Patty makes a great comment. People watch the Arizona Wilder interview with David Icke. So that's all, everybody's homework. I guess we'll do it too.
If anybody knows how to get a hold of Arizona Wilder, I'd appreciate they forward that information to you, James, because
Yes.
I am looking for her. And
How old is she now, would you say?
She'd probably be around about 68, 67, 68 years old.
Very possible then.
If she's alive.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the rumor came back to me that she wasn't, but we'll find out soon enough. So thanks everybody. Again, just go to Dick Darnell's channel. You can check out some of the other interviews with Jimmy that we've done in the past. So also, if you want to learn more about the work I do, you could go subscribe to preferably on my Rumble channel, because all this, the censoring thing is an issue. There's the full archives there. Like half my content, I mean, only like a tiny portion is actually on this YouTube channel. And you could get my book. Oh, yeah, Neological Tech.
Well, hold it up. You're just.
I know, but it's like kind of, the filter is kind of messing up, but it's on neologicaltech.com. You can go get a copy of that and buy a meditation cube to help you relax. And I guess we're gonna call it, Jimmy. What do you say?
Yeah, let's go ahead and call it.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jimmy.
We'll all see you later.
We'll do it again.
Yes.
We'll do it again.
Namaste. God bless.
Namaste.